Nobody expected the night to end with Jon Stewart in the chair and Stephen Colbert standing beside it, both of them looking at a camera, neither of them performing anything, and the Ed Sullivan Theater so quiet you could hear the building. That is the image that ran everywhere by morning. Not the F-bomb, though the F-bomb ran too, in every outlet that could print an asterisk. Not the cartoon Trump embracing the Paramount logo as the kiss cam caught them together, and he ducked in panic. Not Adam Sandler eating popcorn shrimp in the third row, or Anderson Cooper and Andy Cohen pretending to make out for a crowd that was operating at the frequency of people who had been given permission to process something very large through laughter. All of that ran, all of it was viewed. What ran most, what stayed longest, what people were still watching on the fourth day, was the quiet at the end, the chair, the two men, the building. But the quiet at the end required everything that came before it, and everything that came before it began 11 days earlier, on a Thursday, when Colbert walked to his desk at the Ed Sullivan Theater and told his audience that CBS had decided to end The Late Show. He said it straight. No setup, no comedic framing, no structural buffer between the fact and the room. He said, CBS has decided not to continue this program after this season. He said the final episode would air in May 2026. He said he was going to keep doing the show until then, and intended to make every remaining episode count. He said it in the register of a man who has processed the information and arrived in the room with the processing complete, which is a different register from the one he uses when the processing is happening in public, and a different register again from performance. The room absorbed it. Then Trump posted. He said, I absolutely love that Colbert got fired. He said, this is great news for America. He said, nobody was watching anyway. He said it in the specific tone of celebration that a man uses when he believes he has won something. Not a political victory, but a personal one. The specific satisfaction of a man who has spent a decade watching a late-night host dismantle his public image and has decided that CBS's financial restructuring is the same thing as his own vindication. Colbert saw the post. He waited 11 days. Then he came back. The July 21st episode began in the standard monologue configuration. Desk, chair, band leader in position, audience at the specific temperature of people who had read the post and were waiting to see what Colbert would do with it. He settled into the chair. He spread wide. Both armrests, the full inventory of a man claiming the space he has occupied for 10 years and intends to occupy until May. He looked at the room. Then he looked at the camera with the eye contact of a man who has decided something. He said, how dare you, sir? He said, would an untalented man be able to compose the following satirical witticism? He paused. He said, go f yourself. The room erupted. Not because the sentence was surprising, because it was the sentence that had been building for 11 days and had arrived precisely on schedule, in the register it required, carrying the weight of everything behind it. The audience had been holding something and was now releasing it, which is a different kind of laughter from the kind that arrives at surprise. He said, the gloves are officially off. He said, until this show goes dark in May, I can finally say what I really think about Donald Trump. He said it the way a man says something he's been saying every night for a decade, but is now saying differently. Not louder, not angrier, but from a different position. The position of someone who no longer has the institutional constraints of a network that is managing its relationship with a president who has filed lawsuits against its parent company and extracted a $16 million settlement from it. The $16 million, the inventory of what had happened between CBS, Paramount, and the Trump administration. The lawsuit over the Kamala Harris 60 Minutes edit. The settlement reached in the weeks before the cancellation announcement. The specific and documented sequence in which the network's financial relationship with the president and the network's decision about the show occupied the same month. That inventory was not made explicit in Colbert's monologue. He named the settlement. He named the amount. He said, I don't know how this is possible. He said it the way he says things he knows exactly how are possible, but is inviting the room to follow the logic without being told where it leads. Then the door opened. Stewart walked in from the side entrance that Colbert had used for 10 years. He was carrying nothing. He walked to the desk with the specific quality of movement of a man returning to a room he knows well and has not been in for a while. Not nostalgic, not performing the return, simply present in it. The way a person is present in a room where they belong. He sat down, not beside Colbert, in Colbert's chair. He sat in it the way he sat in it in 2016 when he came back for the convention, and in 2018 when he came back about trade, and in every other moment when the news had required his specific voice, and Colbert had opened the door and said, yes, sit here. Colbert stood beside the chair. He looked at Stewart. Stewart looked at him. Neither of them spoke for 4 seconds. Then Stewart said, "I have been watching what has happened to this show." He said it quietly, without preamble, in the register of someone beginning at the beginning and intending to continue through to the end. He said, "I have been watching what has happened to every show that got close enough to the truth to make the man at the center of it uncomfortable." He named them, not as a list, but in sequence, with the dates. Kimmel's suspension, the ABC pressure, the cease and desist, the Don Jr. letter, the calls to the network, the $16 million settlement, the announcement of the cancellation, the post. He said, "What you are watching is a man who cannot tolerate being told the truth, use every institutional lever available to him to silence the people telling it." He said, "That's not a political opinion." He said, "That is a documented sequence of events with dates, amounts, and court filings attached to every step." He reached into his jacket pocket. He removed a single card. He read one line from it. The line from Colbert's cancellation announcement. The specific phrasing Colbert had used on the Thursday. "I intend to make every remaining episode count." He said, "I believe you." He put the card back. He looked at Colbert. The room had gone somewhere it had not been during the F-bomb, or the Coldplay parody, or the Double Birds. Somewhere that does not have a name in the vocabulary of late-night television. The place a room goes when comedy has done everything comedy can do, and the thing that remains is not a joke, but the reason the jokes were necessary. Colbert looked at Stewart. He said, "I know." He said it the way you say something you have known for a long time and have not said because saying it would have cost something and are now saying because the cost has already been paid. They sat in that for 4 seconds. The building was quiet. Then Stewart said, "Also, the Epstein files contain a bran muffin recipe." He said it in the specific flat delivery of a man who has been building to a joke he has been holding for 2 minutes and is now releasing it with the precise timing of someone who knows that the release must come before the wait becomes unmanageable. The room broke completely. The laugh was enormous. Not the rolling laugh of accumulated release, but the single sharp crack of a room that has just been taken from one register to another by a single sentence delivered by a man in a chair who knows exactly how long to wait. Colbert laughed. The building laughed. Fallon and Myers in the audience were laughing. Stewart and Oliver were laughing. Anderson Cooper was laughing in a way that Anderson Cooper is rarely photographed laughing. The involuntary complete laugh of a man who has been holding a great deal of professional composure for a great many years and has just had it removed by a bran muffin. The show continued for 40 minutes after that. Both men were in the frame for most of it. What they said in those 40 minutes went everywhere. The specific lines, the specific targets, the specific documents named and dates cited. But the 4 seconds before the bran muffin went furthest, stayed longest, and was described by the most people as the thing they came back to re-watch. Because what those 4 seconds contained was not a punchline, not a fact check, not a piece of political commentary calibrated for maximum damage and minimum legal risk. It was 2 men who had spent a combined 40 years telling the truth inside the architecture of a joke, sitting in one chair and standing beside it, in the room that had been the venue for both of their careers, in the specific quiet of people who have looked at each other and decided that the inventory of what they have said and what they still have to say is worth finishing. Trump posted 7 times before midnight. He said Colbert was finished, unwatched, irrelevant, and a radical puppet. He said the show had always been terrible and nobody would miss it. He said Stewart was a has-been living off legacy and nostalgia. Each post was placed beside the 4-second clip in threads that ran without captions. The inventory of a man who cannot stop responding to something he claims nobody is watching, beside 2 men sitting in a quiet room at the Ed Sullivan Theater doing the thing they have always done. After everything you just saw, ask yourself one thing. What else has been hiding behind the noise? Subscribe and turn on notifications, because this story isn't over. It's just getting started.